welcome you to maintaining positive communication in our families. We'd like to share a few things. We just have 6 to 7. So we hope to condense it well enough to have enough specific things that you can take away tonight when you leave. Practice strategies to keep calm. Now, we've gone through an interesting year, 2020, and I know many of you have experienced things that you've never experienced before because of COVID. So we need to learn to keep calm. So we're going to practice some strategies to keep calm and practice a few ways to strengthen family communication that bring healing. Now, being a parent to me is the most important job on earth. And I think you believe that too, because you came out tonight. You see how important it is to be a parent. And I thank you so much for choosing to want to communicate better and have a good relationship with your children.
The basis for this statement is this statement: nation is only as strong as its weakest families. So families, parents are the introduction of families to the planet. And many times, in order to strengthen the nation, there's a lot of emphasis on this department, that, but not always on strengthening the family, because the people who run all of the departments come from families.
So let's look at a few things. Keeping calm during COVID-19. How do we keep a sense of calm? You know, we're in different relationships. Our children at home, in virtual learning, we're working at home. Lots of things come up, so we have to keep calm. So when you're upset, angry, afraid, uncertain, or hurt, here's some things we can do.
Well, I'd like to ask you to take an assessment of yourself now. Your body from head to toe. Just do a scan and get a sense of how you are, what your feelings are, and if there's a particular feeling, what's the intensity or the number. 0 would be nothing, 10 would be you're really upset, angry, or somewhere along that spectrum. So get a sense of what the number is. Also, if there is a particular color associated with any feeling or thought you had, a color on the color spectrum. So I want to practice just intentional breathing. This is called diaphragmatic breathing. The way it works, you inhale, your lungs expand. That expands your diaphragm and pushes your stomach out. So on the inhale, our stomach is to go out. Now, a lot of people have trouble with this. Some scientists and researchers say that around roughly 90% of the population breathes incorrectly. They're doing stressful breathing. So I'm just going to run through a couple of things right quick with breathing. So the first thing is, when you inhale, if you want to place your hand on your stomach, inhale and see that your hand goes out.
Let's inhale.
And then on the exhale, your stomach goes in. Some people have flipped it, which means they're adding stress. So inhale, stomach expands, your hand goes out if it's there, and on the exhale, you relax. Now be careful that you're not breathing up here. You want to breathe, you want it to go from your diaphragm to your stomach and out. Now, we could spend more time with this if we had the time, but I want to do a right brain, left brain, sympathetic, parasympathetic nervous system breathing. Take the right forefinger of your right hand, place it on your right nostril, and breathe through your left nostril. So breathe in, count to 5, release. Keep your right finger there. Inhale, Count to 5. Release. One more time. Release. Now what we do is you do that cycle 10 times. And I'll just ask now, does anybody feel a difference in any assessment you made earlier in your body? Anybody, if you could just chime in and.
We can't see you. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So when we do this, practicing this breathing, right, it relaxes us. So why are we saying this? Well, think about it. Usually when we get upset, get angry about something, we want to right there, say it, scream it, whatever it might be. But if we practice this intentional breathing, even you may have to put your finger on your nose to remember, calm down, relax, and gain self-control.
The key to self-control, the only person we can control on the planet is self. And the quickest, easiest way to get control of self is through intentional diaphragmatic breathing.
So that's what we want to gain, self-control, so that we can tap into our internal powers. This inside of you can help you make a decision of what to do.
So the internal power that we have to change our emotions is basically our imagination. Imagine beyond the moment. There's more to be said about this, but a lot of people are only stuck with where they are with their anger, frustration, fear, and they want to hurt somebody because of the culture that we're in. We can imagine beyond the anger to what will this be like when this experience is over.
So when we relax, gain self-control at those times when we're upset, angry, afraid, uncertain, or hurt, we can speak words that heal instead of words that hurt. We can control our desires to lash out physically and hurt, to lash out with our words, or to lash out with our hands. Think of your hands as a comforting, loving, something that you comfort and love with, not hurt with. You know, as a teacher, at the beginning of the year, I would stand up talking to some of my students, to the class, and I might walk close to maybe a desk, and I'm speaking and I say something like, well, I want you to know, and some child may hold their hand down like that. And that tells me something. That child sees your hand as danger. That's sad to me. As parents, we want to control our desire to hit, to lash out, and speak words that heal and not hurt.
When it comes to communication, there's two forms, verbal and nonverbal. The verbal, of course, is composed of words. The nonverbal is composed of tone and body language. Dr. Albert Moravian from Stanford University back in the late 1960s did all this research and study, and they came up with percentages of your communication that relate to words, tone, and body language. One of the percents is 7, the number 7%. One is 55%, and one is 38%. Do you know which of these elements, which one is 7, which one is 38, which one is 55?
If someone would like to unmute, respond, it's okay. Which one do you think is 7?
Words.
Say again?
7% words.
Okay, what are the other two?
30 would be tone.
Okay, and body language would be 55. Does everyone agree here, or do you have another ratio assessment for the percentages? Okay, we're going to illustrate something here.
Okay.
So this is husband, wife, could be parent, child, could be coworker, friend. Yes, dear.
Honey, do you love me?
Yes, I love you. Like, on your birthday, I told you I love you. Okay, now how does that come across to you?
Words, tone, body language.
Do you believe that?
The words, I love you, but
Do you believe my presentation of that expression? Yes, no, I can't see you.
No.
No. And what's the reason you don't believe it, even though I said I love you?
Well, you took a deep breath in, and then I think you shook your head. Maybe I'm imagining things, but
Okay, so if I wanted, so think about parent, child, mommy, daddy, do you love me? Am I your son? Am I a good? Think about how we say what we say. So we'll do this again.
honey, do you love me?
Yes, dear.
Thank you.
Is that more believable?
yes.
All right, so that person was correct. 7% words, 38 tone, and 55% body language.
This is true everywhere. It's at work, it's at church, it's on the block, it's at the store, the grocery store, it's with the doctor. It's just a universal application for most cultures and society. So 93% of our communication is nonverbal. How you look, what your shoulders and arms, and now not everything means what somebody else may think it means, but it does convey a message. And it's up to the recipient to determine what that message means.
That's right. So when I talk to my child, if my words are saying one thing and my tone and body language are saying something else, what do you think they understand? But it has to be congruent. They all need to be working together to communicate in love. Now, so positive communication is what we're looking at this evening. It's determined by what we say, how we say it, see, tone and body language, when we say it, and listen to what is being said. Now that word listen, think about that word listen. What does it tell us, Bill?
Someone put together this thing that said listen and silent use the same letters.
Isn't that amazing?
If you take the word listen, you can make silent out of it. So we listen with our ears, with our eyes, and with our senses. We're taught how to read, write, and speak. Read, write, and speak. They teach us how to talk, they teach us how to read, they teach us how to write. They don't do so good at teaching us to listen. Because listening is the fine print of communication. So the best practice in communication, these are the 5 elements of communication best practices. Positive language that is future oriented, in context, unequivocal, self-initiated. I might add as a commentary on this, we do workshops and seminars called The Language of Healing. And in order to listen effectively and communicate as effectively as we can, it requires us learning a language, just like you were learning a language in another culture. To practice good communication skills, There are elements and components of a language. We call it the language of healing.
So look, I look at unequivocal communication. What does that mean, Bill?
A lot of what is communicated by people on a random daily basis is equivocal. It's things like, well, I kind of want to go to the store. I'd like to watch this program. It doesn't say what you want. It's equivocating. So let's say you said, I'd like to go to the store, and you just put it out there, and no one offers to take you to the store. And then you come back 20 minutes later complaining that nobody took you to the store. Well, if it had been said, who can take me to the store? I'd like to go. That's specific. I'd like to leaves everything up in the air.
Yeah. Oh, I'd like to do this. Oh, you would?
I'd like to learn to play the piano. I'd like to learn golf. I'd like to speak to my child in a more calm voice. You got too much wiggle room there.
Oh, so you're saying we either do it or we don't.
Do it or not. And speak with, you don't have to say, I want somebody to take me to the store. Speak it in a tone that is connected with an intent, words, tone, and body language.
Okay, this future oriented.
I'm just sharing a lot of what is done generally. Well, let me just say, a lot of the language that is used in day-to-day business, home, family conversation is negative. People use negative words. We'll talk about that in a few more slides. And it's anchored in the past. So I like to think of, what will this experience, this conversation, this meeting be like when it's over? So something happened last week, and I might need to reference what happened last week, but that's not the end of it. So in my reference, in my presentation, I'm going to address what happened last week or yesterday with my mind set on a positive outcome for the next iteration.
Mm.
So future oriented. I hear so often the expression, every time we address this matter, we get stuck right here. That's a past reference with no future orientation. So I might ask the person, how long have you been stuck here? And what would you be willing to do to get unstuck? They have to think differently.
And so when we're disciplining our children, you're saying we're thinking, what do we want the future to be like, and not get stuck on what the past was, right?
Yes.
It's what is it we want to happen tomorrow. And I found this little cute thing. It says, instead of saying no, you can say yes. So if a child asks you something and you feel like, oh, the answer is no, say yes when. So say, can I have dessert? Yes, when you finish your dinner. Or can I have this? Yes, when we go to the store tomorrow. See, instead of just saying no, 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 it's the softer answer. And it works to a future orientation. Yes, when.
Is that helpful,
Yes,
everybody?
when.
There are lots of illustrations we could give about how to employ these 5 elements in your communication, even if things aren't pleasant. This applies at work, at home, in the community.
This is sort of a theme of our language of healing. Careless words stab like a sword, but wise words bring healing. Careless words, wise words. Let's take a look at now. What do these words sound like? Sometimes we talk so fast, we don't even think about what we're saying. Some careless words may be, I hate you. You never do anything right. These words just fly out of our mouth. You're stupid. You're mean. You'll never be anything. You will always be fat and ugly. These words are careless. Now, healing words would be like, I love you. You are special. Thank you. Thank you is a word that we should use all day long. That's one thing I love about my husband. Every time I do something, say something, he said, thank you. I appreciate you. Let them know you are so creative. You are a gift. You can do it. Do you even feel different when you hear those wise words? Of course.
I think of my childhood, my mom, my dad died when I was 6. I'm the oldest of 3. My mother was 29. My mother was high stressed, and there's a lot of background and generational things. But one of the things she said to me repeatedly throughout a day, any day, is, boy, don't you know I will kill you. And that I can hear her voice now, even though we mended a lot of things and took a lot of work. But what she said to me still, I hear it, it's there. And I literally thought one day she was going to kill me. I won't tell you the whole story.
So these words stick in our children's brain, in your brain. If someone says those words to you, they stick. They become a command in our mind of who we are. So let's stay positive. Now, how do we stay positive? We got to count the costs, right, Bill? All right. How do we do that?
What do you want the situation to be like after it's over? Instead of being stuck on now, think about the future and what it's going to be like. What will it cost? So years ago, this was a long time ago, she was a part of a recording situation for a church group, and the video came in the mail. And she was really excited about it, and she wanted me to view it. I was involved with something else in my office at the house, and she came in and she put it right in my, do you want to look at it? You want to look at it? There's like, so I got up from my desk, walked out, and she had popped in the video, and she's sitting there looking at it, and I'm standing over here peeking up and down. And it was 15 minutes, and I said, that was nice. And the day went on, the children came home, dinner, blah, blah, blah. So I came upstairs late. It was about 11 o'clock. And she's sitting in the middle of the bed with her day clothes on. So I see her, and right away I know something's not right here. What did I do? I was like, oh, the video. So I didn't count the cost of my standing there looking across the room. And so it cost me about 2.5 hours that night to address my response to her invitation to watch the video.
No, I could have waited. I could have said, Bill, I see you're busy. Is this a good time to stop and look at it? I could have done that. I didn't. However, he's saying that because he responded the way he did, he really wasn't involved. He really wasn't looking at it. He just did something to pacify me. It did make me feel good. I didn't feel that he was really listening, paying attention. So he's saying, count the cost.
Yeah,
It cost him hours.
To be honest, I wasn't paying attention. I was physically present, but I wasn't engaged. I was still stuck on what I was doing. And when she came in like that, she said what she could have done differently. Well, I could have said, okay, let me pause here, and got up, gone out,
Sit down
sat
and look at it
down
with
and
me.
looked at it with her. It's called change. Count the cost before we get stuck in a emotional response.
Think about what our relationship will be after these words come out of our mouths. Choose words that heal and not hurt.
So she could have said, I could have said when she came and said, you want to watch it? I could have said, now is a little difficult. I'm in the middle of something. What about in a half an hour? So we talk, we communicate to express our thoughts, feelings, and ideas, and make things clearer rather than equivocating and leaving people to try to figure things out on their own.
So this is just a Reinforce verbal and nonverbal communication should match.
A mother with a teenage daughter, talking about counting the cost. They got into a shouting match. It was intense. Words were thrown back and forth and back and forth. And in the middle of this, the mother shouts out, "I should have aborted you." Well, damage is done. And the mother can say, "I take it back. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have." It's too late.
Think about it. Count the cost. What kind of relationship do you want to have with your child, with your spouse, with your friend, with your boss? Count the cost.
So let's say the child, let's say the child breaks a glass or a plate. You're upset, you're disappointed, you've told them before. How are you going to interact with the child and the broken dish? It's just for thought there. Count the cost.
And remember breathing.
Filter your words. One of the things we ask people to think about in the middle of situations, especially when they're challenging, is this the hill I want to die on? Is this the last thing I want them to remember about me? So filter your words. Breathe. Choose words that heal. And part of that can be, "I'm hurt, I'm disappointed," rather than "you clumsy, awkward, it can't ever do it," that kind of thing.
We're using I words, I messages instead of you this, you that. And in our other seminars, as we go deeper into skill building, we go into that, understanding how to use words that heal. Now silence yourself. Sometimes nothing needs to be said right now. Nothing. It might be hurtful if I say this, so I should wait. Silence yourself.
Make sure you have plenty of options. Plenty of options. I like to have 6 for anything. That's just one of my rules here for myself. We could talk about that at another time.
Now, there are always 2 ways to look at things. In a relationship, we have to remember that being different is not wrong. Do I need to say that again? Being different is not wrong. Being different is being different. And every one of us is different. So we're going to do a little exercise here, looking at 2 ways of looking at things. What do you see?
You want to unmute yourself and tell us what you see?
Yeah, we'd like for you to participate in this activity. What do you see?
A bird
Okay.
on a post.
A post, good.
Okay.
You see a bird perched on a post. There's something else there.
Oh, now I see a leg.
You see a leg. Say more.
Oh, it's
Yeah, it looks like a person
Oh, it looks like a person.
sitting on a post, one leg's outstretched, another leg bent. I see a shoulder.
Yep,
And it's like a person's painted because their arm is over their head.
yep,
And so their
Yes.
hand looks like the beak.
yes.
Now, should we argue about that? Is it a bird or a lady? You see what I mean? Some people would argue about that.
Do you see both?
You see both, everyone?
Like woman painted as a bird.
Yes. It's an actual person posing for a painting. So the question is, do you see the bird and do you see the person?
yes.
Because there's more than one way to understand to take what somebody said. There's multiple ways. But when we insist on only one way, then we're competing.
You've heard someone say something, you said, no, that's not what I meant. But maybe that's the way they see it. We don't have that brain. There are always 2 ways to look at
And
things.
when someone says that's what I meant, rather than going the route, well, that's what you said, say, oh, well, could you tell me more? We're inviting conversation rather than competition
Or confrontation.
or confrontation.
Look at this. What do you see?
Anything?
Unmute. Somebody tell us what they see.
The word liar.
Word liar. Okay.
Okay. Anything else?
See, I saw a face. So,
Uh-huh.
yeah, but I see liar now too.
Liar now too.
Yeah.
Mhm. Two ways to see it.
And it need not be boiled down to right and wrong. I understand in life there's some things that are right, there's some things wrong. A lot of it, though, we don't really need to fight over. We could say, I see this. It could mean that I prefer this. I'm more comfortable with this. I remember a conversation with an organization that wanted to buy an activities van for their for the youth group. And adults got into a serious heated argument about which brand. Was it going to be a Ford, General Motors, or a Chrysler product? And it was astounding how emotionally charged people got over a brand name. And they weren't getting any kickback or anything from, but they had their minds made. There's only one, so we can easily fight. Could move and say, oh, I see the features of this, I see the features of that, and then we could work out a resolution.
Let's look at one more. What do you see?
Anybody?
What?
You want us to give you a hint?
I see a couple at looks like a lake.
Okay. You want a hint as to what else is there?
Okay.
Okay. There's a baby in the scene.
A big baby.
I see it now.
You see it now?
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing?
You see the
By the
head, the
tree
hand,
line. Yeah.
hand, heads, feet.
Yeah.
You see that nose hair,
So if you follow the cursor, the lips,
curve, the face, then the
Wow.
baby's arm up in the tree, fingers.
Yeah.
You see it?
Mm-hmm.
Feet. Everybody see it? Isn't that amazing? Two ways to look at things. Neither right or wrong.
so we can minimize stress by just adapting to what somebody else sees. Ah, I didn't notice that before. I was a church pastor for a while, and there was a story about a young child, 8, 9 years old, out in the lobby of a large sanctuary, and this was not during the day. He was just kind of like taking a tour through the building, and one of the deacons came out and saw the little boy and said, "What do you think, Sonny?" And he said, "This is a beautiful place." And he sees these plaques on the wall, and he asks, what are these for? And the deacon said, well, those are plaques dedicated to the memory of those who died in the service. And the boy said, was that the early or the late service? You know, the 8:30 service or the 10:30 service. If you get, what does the word service mean?
So that's called an interpersonal gap. You've said something to someone and they didn't get it at all. Say, for example, I tell Bill, okay, Bill, I want you to go to the store and get some peanut butter and jelly.
So I leave and I go to the store and I come back with a jar of peanut butter and jelly in the same jar. Here you go.
Oh, I meant to get, we get the grape jelly in a jar and then we get the peanut butter in a jar.
Oh, they do have that, but I thought you wanted peanut butter and jelly. So I got peanut butter and jelly all in one jar. Save money, save the planet.
That's funny to him, right? But see, a lot of times it's just something simple as that.
It's not clear. It's not
clear.
concise.
You thought that's what he meant, but that maybe not.
And then you have to allow for the people that will get irritated if you give them too much detail. That there's two sides of that coin.
Yeah, because sometimes I'll say too much. You'll say, I got it. All right. But a lot of times what we have to do is say, okay, can you just tell me what you got? Because I just want to be sure. And so he'll say, okay, I'm supposed to get this, this, and this. All right, thanks. But see, at least that's better than waiting till he gets back and say, well, you didn't get so-and-so, I told you. And I thought you heard what I said, so then that's when the fighting starts.
So I've learned that when I get butter, to make sure I get salted butter, because there are times I'd go pick up the butter and it said butter. That's what I need, salted butter. Okay, I got it now.
Yeah, okay. So you see, this is another proverb that we really like to think about, and what a gentle answer will calm a person's anger, but an unkind answer will cause more anger. And that's what Bill was illustrating. Sometimes you'll say something that causes the person to get upset, and then you lump coal on top of that. You keep going, and gets higher and higher, and everybody gets louder and louder, and then end up calling 911. But
escalate.
A gentle answer. What do you?
Gentle answer. That means when someone is yelling or fussing at me, that happens. I want to breathe, control myself, control my anger, and listen to what the person is saying. And most likely make a summary statement of what they said or pose a question based on what they said. In a fuller seminar, we do this thing on lag time and the interpersonal gap, talking about illustrating and demonstrating the listening process, because we have the capacity to listen at a rate that's about 4 times the capacity of the person who is speaking. But in order to do that, we have to be paying attention, not planning our shopping trip tomorrow or thinking about, oh, next week. Yeah, I'm looking at you and you're telling me about your vacation or your situation. I'm looking at you, but I'm thinking next week. Oh, next week. Oh, that's Christmas. So I got to get this and that. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So we talk about how to listen and tune into the other person without drifting.
Yes. Because once we say what we say, it's out there, cannot be retrieved. We can say, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that. I shouldn't have said that. It's out there. The child heard it. The person heard it. The heart felt it. So remember to filter your words, think before speaking.
And to say, I'm sorry you feel that way is not a good response to something I said that hurt somebody. People often say, well, I'm sorry you feel that way. That doesn't address me hurting you.
All right. One more thing we want to just briefly talk about: words to minimize or avoid, because we've been talking about filtering your words, thinking before you're speaking. Well, what are some words that won't be good to use at all?
So the major one is the negatives. The brain seems to have this capacity to not understand negatives, or has difficulty in responding to negatives. Negatives usually get repeated in the mind. So if I said to you, don't think of the Washington Monument,
What did you just do?
did you just think of the monument?
Mhm.
Now, if I say it again, please don't think of that monument. For a lot of people, it gets bigger and brighter. So the negatives tend to get reinforced. So if I don't want you to think of the monument, I'll say, think of the Martin Luther King Memorial
Or what you want
or the
them to
Jefferson
think of.
Memorial. So if you tell a child, don't run, they're most likely to run because their brains heard run.
So I'd say, walk. I would say what I want them to do. Instead of don't hit your sister, keep your hands to yourself. See, it's doing and saying what we want them
What you
to
want.
Yeah.
Future orientation, what you want. So if you're managing a group or you have children in a scout unit and you say to them, okay, we're going to meet tomorrow at noon, don't be late. You just put the idea of being late into their head. I see people assisting others with walking, especially the elderly and the frail. And some people will say, don't fall. Just put the idea of falling into their subconscious. So instead of saying, don't fall, I'd say, hold on to me. You're doing well. We can take this slower. Stay away from the negatives.
I challenge you to tomorrow. Just make a note of how many times you say don't. It's
And
amazing.
when you catch yourself, just be kind to yourself and note the change and pick another way to say it. Is there anything anybody would like me to illustrate? If you've got a situation. Okay, while you're thinking of that, we encourage that for the building relationships, you avoid the interrogative why. And does anyone want to know the reason?
Why? Why?
Okay. Would someone give me your name? And because I'm going to call on you. I can't see you, but I'm going to call on you.
Carol.
Carol?
Yes.
Hi, Carol. Now I'm going to ask you this question. Why did you wear the shoes you have on now? Please tell us.
Well, it was snowing and raining today, so I wore rain boots.
Okay. How did you feel when I asked you that question?
Initially, almost like I did something wrong.
Now I'm going to do it again. Carol, tell me something about the shoes you're wearing.
They're rain boots that protect you from rain and inclement weather.
Do you feel different with the second question? What's the difference in the
Yeah,
feeling?
I did actually, because I think I answered it a little faster too, and my
Instead
voice
of why.
was different.
Now, anyone else on the call aside from Carol, did you have similar feelings about the two questions?
When he said, why did you do
Why
that?
did you wear those boots
That,
versus
that would put me immediately on the defensive.
put
So
you-
I would be immediately trying to protect myself or excuse whatever feels like some
Very-
sort of attack. Whereas
So-
tell me about doesn't put me in that same place.
why is a question of judgment?
Yeah.
So if your son
That
comes in
puts-
from the soccer practice and you say, well, why did you do so and so? Why did you wear that? See?
You put them on the defensive because it's a judgment question.
Mhm.
So we encourage everybody, ask other interrogatives, who, what, where, when. I'm curious, please explain, share. Would you tell me something other than why? So your child comes in with the report card. Why is this on here? They go into defense mode. We ask that you, for the sake of relationships, now, if you're a lawyer, that's an occupational thing. You want your client to be on the defense. for building relationships, you want to avoid that. Okay? But is an eraser, but is a disjunctive conjunction that erases the complement that preceded the but. So we're at dinner and you ask me, how are things? And I'm saying, oh, this is a lovely dinner, but the refreshments, the drink is not up to par. You're left with what's wrong and the compliment just got wiped out. So but is an eraser. So if we want to use a conjunction, make it and, or just accept the graciousness of the meal. Thank you so much for a lovely meal.
And same thing with the report card, Bill. What?
Same thing with the report card. I see the report card. I want to have a conversation, not an argument. Oh my, when's a good time to review your report card? Sit down, review it and say, tell me about it. Now, if there's something on there that I would like to see improved, I'm going to think future and say, what do you plan to do differently to change this and this for the next grading period? And I say that with a calm voice because it's not the end of the world. I know it's in private school. I know you pay a lot of money. I want to take the lead in showing how we can build harmony, even in difficult and painful situations.
So the difference is if you see all these A's and you go, well, but what is that part? Again, the but is knocked
The
out.
but says erase the A's.
Oh,
Now-
why?
Now the child is stuck with, I'm not good enough. And try is a term of non-commitment. Would you try to raise your left hand,
Everybody.
everybody? Now, tell me what you're doing. Is anybody actually raising your hand?
Yes.
But I said try,
You said try.
but you did it. So try is a term of non-commitment, one of many, but it's a term of non-commitment. And the brain knows you don't mean it. So if you said to me, I'm going to try to make it to the meeting tonight, I know you're not coming. So just say, I'm already committed for the evening. I'll have to look at the next schedule for next month, rather than I'll try to make it. Or you tell your child, now you go in there and try to be nice to your sister. And they go in and it didn't work. And they said, I tried.
to be
I
nice.
tried to be nice.
You see what I mean? Okay. So these are words you're going to think about. Remember, check yourself on the don't. So, thank you for coming. Get applause for coming.